Good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at XRP, Bitcoin, and the Sigma coin. So, long journey here. Definitely some wonkiness in the market, but the good news is we have completed a 5-wave move to the upside, and we are now moving into our corrective wave 2, which is bullish. So we're going to be looking into these corrections, ultimately giving some estimated targets and price action on how we can play this. But ultimately, anything down here in these regions for me is going to be accumulation area and longing for what comes next. So definitely excited for it, but this has been a very challenging zone here, and will be challenging a lot of people emotionally, mentally here through this remainder. But then the fun begins, and it's probably going to wrap up here in the next, week or so up to the Fed meeting, and then we should be able to finally be given the green light to go. So pretty excited for what's coming next. So let's recap where we were on this whole thing and just look at some potential targets. And then we'll jump over to Bitcoin to see what it's doing along with Sigma. So starting with XRP, the way I'm counting this at this point in time is we have a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4, and 5. So within this wave 2 on the USD pairing, it ended up showing a lower low. But in the market cap price chart, it was a higher low right here. So with that higher low being ultimately set, we're going to be basically looking at a level now where we're going to be moving up to the upside impulsively, and this is actually now going to be a completion of the wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside, and then breakdown. So now back to the USD pairing. We then used this volume profile to identify some gap areas that we have in price. Okay, so expectations on how this could play as a model of what we've seen in the past is this kind of choppiness for XRP's wave 1 is common. And here it is on the larger scale for the 1 hour back in April of 25 through June of 25. So we had a choppy 5-wave move off the lows with the 5th wave ending in 5 waves, which is what we have right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we had a pullback with an ABC down, which led to us basically reclaiming ultimately with this lower level a leg that got us right here, and then an ABC going up that ended up actually giving us this pullback into this region, setting a new lower low. So if we look at the price action here, we have a volume gap right here. So at minimum, we're coming back down. We're going to be moving into this 83 to 84 region. I started exiting out of everything through these regions with stop losses on my shorts, coupled with exiting spot a little too early, got out right around here. So obviously could have ran all that, but I was thinking we were still doing a flat structure with Bitcoin's price action. But good, we ended up doing a larger wave 1, which is going to be very bullish considering the weakness in Bitcoin. So main first thought is we would come back down into this region to 284. And this would be aligning with what we did right around here for this region back in 213 land for XRP back then. Then, as you can see, we then chopped with an ABC and had one more correction down, sweeping into the lows for the larger ABC move, which we can even actually technically call this a WXY for what that would have been. So now with that being said, if we move down into this area, chop up for a little bit, and then wick down one more time, our target areas would be in the 273 to 276 range with the 0.886 fib and the 786 fib. So if we go back to this price action, you can actually see that this overall move, I believe we ended up just front running it quite dramatically and only hitting the 618. We did. So it was only the 618 through this entire price action here. So looking to the 618, that puts us right here at 282. So I'm thinking we could probably come down into this gap right here. And this would be these are some ideas on how deep this correction can go. We can go down into this gap, chop to the sideways, and complete an ABC down there. Very good long area for that to happen. If we pull our volume profile back over a little bit further, you could see that we have a gap right down here in this region. So we could end up doing a larger WXY correction, where you end up having a W and then X and then a Y down to this region, giving us the 786. So we say, okay, well, which of these two universes are we going to live in? We're going to find out together. I'm thinking time-wise, this would look better for a WXY kind of playing out here, where we could probably see this wrap up around the September 11th, flip, exit your short with a stop loss, and then do one more chop down here up to the Fed meeting on September 15th, 16th for an equal kind of structure for this WXY that could play. So now, ultimately, this 786 here is going to end up giving us a... sorry, I just got to correct that real quick. All right, so the 786, if we're lucky enough to get it, beautiful entry for what we're looking for this WXY. And this, again, would check here. But note, back in the day, we got front ran to the 618. So definitely be cautious anywhere in this region for getting accumulating. And then this might just be keep some cash on the side. And if you're so lucky as to get this, you can come back in with the volume gaps that are right here. So now... that's kind of some ideas to how this would play, and considering that we now go to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is expected to lose this triangle, which it's been playing in for a while here, and it's finally doing it. So part of the justification for the flat structure that we were planning was this last E-leg that we were doing on Bitcoin. And my thoughts were that we had actually already completed the E right here, and then we ended up going down and back up again. And this price action here led to XRP spiking for that final fifth leg. So that's good. Now we know that we've completed it. Now we know we're in a corrective structure. This is going to be a larger move also down to the Fed meeting, where we're going to be most likely doing this with a ABC down. So you'll be seeing a move to that direction out of this triangle. And this ABC down finishing leg will take us down into this lower region. Probably be front round again. So as we approach the Fed meeting, really it's all about that, in my opinion. So we'll see how that plays. So again, here's your XRP price action. Bitcoin's going to do an ABC down. We would then see hopefully an ABC down for XRP somewhere either in this region or this region if it takes a while for it to get down here. So so that's ultimately kind of how I'm playing this. I've been shorting the whole time, putting stop losses in, getting stopped out each time. Now we've gotten back up into supply. Now we're correcting back down again. And this would be the first area of interest based off of the volume indicator taking back this gap that we have here that was not filled with the volume for XRP. So that's kind of my initial thoughts on how this is going to play. Just a little bit too early to the trade, but that's okay. And ultimately we are going to get it right here. So now another cool thing that we end up bouncing over to is we jump over to the Sigma coin. And Sigma coin ultimately has been having a really, really great time working its way off the lows here. And we've now reclaimed 1.7 million market cap for Sigma. And basically what I'm seeing is we're seeing vertical accumulation is what's happening. So out of what I mean by that is basically every single time we pop up, there's a sell, it gets bought up immediately. Then a sell, it gets bought up immediately. And a sell, it gets bought up immediately. So people are accumulating the asset. And I think there's going to be a mental shift here soon where people start saying, well, wait a second, I should probably not be selling. And so obviously the RSIs and the stotches on the low time frames have gotten there. Daily's getting up there, but not quite fully yet. But the 3-day just has so much more room to run. I mean, we could just see this definitely play out for weeks based off of the 3-day momentum. This one was the 24th of June to the 18th of July. So a month, easily a month of running, where we can start seeing some incredible price action play out in this upwards accumulation play. So this is basically looking wonderful. Great reaction. Tagged the 886 finally, and is now bouncing. And this is what we would expect to occur with this type of chopping price action. So imagine we're basically right here, zoomed in on the Sigma coin. And if we are right here, you can see that we're kind of getting above these levels and into supply. And if you go back to here, you can see getting above these levels into supply. So we're probably like right around there is my guess. Still going to continue to chop and move to the higher. It's not until we actually really break out to mid-range do we start seeing some really good accumulations. So I'm thinking Sigma is just going to keep marching out here, and each person who's selling is going to be like, oh man, why did I sell? So eventually, but that's okay. Maybe it's good for them. So we'll see how that plays. So that's what we're ultimately seeing. 3-day Sigma, incredibly bullish, massive upside, potentially a month to a month and a half of just insanity. And this is what a month to a month and a half of meme coins looks like over here. There you go. That's what you get. So this is the idea, is that it's just going to be a lot of uncertainty, and then bam, and it just keeps going and going and going. So there you go. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the overall market. A little bit of a long video today, but hopefully that's helpful, and we'll check in tomorrow.